Alright guys, how are you all doing tonight? This is Luke back here with yet another album review on here on the channel. Tonight we'll be reviewing Mortal Decays' Sickening, Erotic, Fanaticism, released on 1997 on Pulverizer Records. Now this is a band I have not heard a lot of people talk about or mention, but this is some killer fucking death metal if you ask me overall. Now let's get into the biography of this band. For over 15 years, Mortal Decay has been one of the premier forces in death metal. Having performed on both sides of the continent, their music has showcased their technical abilities while still retaining brutality. In 1991, three individuals from South Jersey, Anthony Ipri, John Hartman, and John Pelline, formed Mortal Decay. After their inception, they recorded their debut demo, Dawn of Misery, with guitarist Anthony Divigence and bassist Brandon Stockel. Brian Valentini replaced Anthony Divigence and subsequently recorded the Grisly Aftermath demo in 1993. Upon the success of their demos, the band performed numerous shows along in the East Coast. In 1994, Brian and Brandon left the band and were replaced by bassist Ron Steinhardt and guitarist Joe Gordon. With a new lineup in place, Mortal Decay recorded the critically acclaimed Brutalizing Creations demo in 1995, garnering 10 skulls in the SOD magazine. In early 1996, Mortal Decay suffered their first major lineup disruption when longtime vocalist John Pelline announced he was leaving the band. Kelly Esquerdo, which was an ex-Deathman member, he was replaced by them while the group continued to write and play throughout the remainder of the year. During this time, the band was approached by Pulverizer Records to record their first full-length album, Sickening, Erotic, Fanaticism, which is the album we are going to be reviewing tonight. And to promote the album, the band embarked on their first tour with Illinois-based act Dead End Coolmating, with their first appearance at the Milwaukee Metal Fest. While writing new material, the band remastered their 3 demos and released a compilation disc, A Gathering of Human Artifacts, in 1991, or in 1999, I'm sorry. In 2000, Mortal Decay was approached by Unique Leader Records for a record deal and supporting slot on the Bloodletting North America tour with Discord's DJ Flesh, Celopathic Carnage, with a successful tour and a few record deals. Mortal Decay began working on their second full-length album. Kelly Esquerdo left the band and was originally vocalist John Pelline stepped in to record the album titled Forensic, released in 2001. The album featured a more progressive and technical approach, showcasing the band's musical capabilities and lyric intelligence. In 2003, longtime bassist Ron Steinhardt parted with the band and was replaced by Lou Sapo from Insanity. In 2005, it was a rough year with a string of lineup changes. John Pelline and Lou Suppa left the band and were replaced by Kevin McClintock and Ed Drodzowski, respectively. Then founding member Anthony Ipri decided to leave the band and was replaced by Justin DePinto. Now, with a new lineup, Mortal Decay hit the studio once again and recorded their third full-length album, Cadaver Art. Shortly after the release, the band embarked on their first European tour with Beheaded Brutus and Necrocest. The next couple of years, the band continued to play at shows and Metal Fest throughout America. Now, in 2007, Mortal Decay continued to play shows whilst writing new material for their upcoming fourth album. Ed Drozdowski left the band and was replaced by, I don't know how to pronounce that person's name, I'll be completely fucking honest with you. In 2008, vocalist Kevin McClintock left and was replaced by Anthony Scherrader, the 10th Circle. With yet another new lineup, the band is currently writing new material and continue to perform all over America. Mortal Decay seems to be a name more regularly associated with recent trends in death metal, and often usually get overlooked as some shitty slam band due to their heavily brutal style, which is in contrast to the thrash metal oriented roots of the style's founders. But what's not so well known is that they were around since day one, basically, from the beginning of Cannibal Corpse and Suffocation and all that shit. They've basically been around since the more brutal side of death metal started to get more popular and more people started to do it. It's a Cannibal Corpse poorly conceived, but nonetheless revolutionary second album, Butchered at Birth. The New Jersey outfit put out a couple of demos that had something of a resemblance to what they were getting at, but came out much better because of a more varied approach that involved taking into account older bands like Morbid Angel, Obituary, and Bolt Thrower. In the beginning, the band was lyrically a bit more varied and didn't quite conform to the gore-obsessed model of Cannibal Corpse, though the vocals of John Pauline had some similarities to Chris Barnes and also in respect to Lord Worm. This is all relevant because the linked history as an underground band during the early 90s is what paved the way for this album, which is sadly at this point a bit behind times when taking into account what Cryptopsy and Suffocation had done to the style since before 1992. It was hard to find a band that was as brutal as Mortal Decay was, but by 1997 there was an ongoing contest to see who could deafen the masses the soonest and make the mainstream vomit the quickest. And to this, a vocalist in Kelly Izquierdo who is solid but nowhere near as distinctive as Pauline was, and it's understandable why anyone who hasn't heard this band's early demos would write them off as yet another shitty slam band. That was really starting to become a new trend in death metal. The best way to approach this album is through the context of 1995, which was when more than half of this album was written, and the recent releases of Pierce From Within and Blasphemy Made Flesh make these songs seem less late into the game. They generally fall a bit short of both Cryptopsy Standard of Speed and Suffocation Standard Flashly solos, but they incorporate strong elements of both, actually, and they outdo them in terms of horror when the lyrics are introduced. Songs like Soaking in Entrails and Revived Half Dead are put together just come off as a more terrifying than any fucking death metal going on, hammered smash face shit and meat hook and sodomy at the time that was getting thrown around. I guess it's just a more believable and less cartoon-like presentation of the story, more in the vein of a graphic Alfred Hitchcock rather than a nightmarish outtake from the motion picture heavy metal. Nonetheless, while definitely a good overall presentation, a varied format, the knowledge of better performed versions of many songs tend to lessen my enjoyment of them. Not to mention that songs from very different eras of the band, which were evolving heavily with each demo, are jumbled together in sort of a compilation format here. Some reach back to a fair share of thrash-oriented, eaten back to life influences that battle the post-death / thrash ones within individual songs, something representing the transition going on during the Brutalizing Creations demo. Others representing the confusion the band is going through while merging these older songs with newer ideas in line of Cryptopsy's brand of Italantaliki, such as heard as the strangely put together song Sickening, Erotic, Fanaticism. This is ultimately a worthy pickup overall. If you're looking for something that still has a step foot down in old school the New York death metal scene, it is occasionally all over the place, and unfortunately it is neglected. Any of their best stuff, which was found on the Donna Misery demo, it is at around the same caliber as Deicide's Once Upon the Cross in terms of an overall listen, though the character of the sound is definitely reaching for a more brutal sound in line with Cannibal Corpse's take on death metal. The band is often passed up for a shitty slam band or better known ones, but they were there at the beginning overall and did originally have a very, very, very unique sound. Gathering of Human Artifacts is a better choice for anyone looking to hear this band's best shit. And overall, I will give this album a 7 out of 10 because it does have some killer tracks on it. However, it can be more put together and just overall a better presentation of it. And that's going to wrap up this review. If you would like to see me review any more albums, please leave them down in the comments below. I'm open to all genres of metal, as I've said once and many times before. And if you would like to join me or Chaos's Discord server, the links will also be down in the description below. Anyways, guys, this has been Luke. Don't forget to take care and stay fucking metal.